Hello, and welcome to my video on Azure Cognitive Services, focusing on chatbots and language understanding for the Azure Advent Calendar. My name is Dwayne Natwick. I am based out of Detroit, Michigan in the US of A. And before we get started, let me do something very quickly. Computer, turn on the Christmas tree. As you noticed, all I gave was a command across the room to turn on my Christmas tree. This is one example of language understanding and cognitive services that are available to you through various services within multiple cloud services today. But wanted to just kind of show you that demonstration, and as we go about and enjoy the Christmas tree, I will continue my fireside chat on cognitive services. Again, as we have been doing the month of December, the Azure Advent Calendar has been a great project to be a part of. I want to thank first and foremost Gregor and Richard for putting together the group for these 75 videos and setting this all up, creating the YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that channel. Visit the Azure Advent Calendar every day up until Christmas and even afterwards. You can continue to learn and continue to build your craft around Azure as we go through all the videos of the holiday season. So I tell everybody around the world, to you and your family, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noel, Feliz Navidad, and in whatever language you speak, and whatever holiday you celebrate, happy holidays to you. And so let's get started talking about Azure Cognitive Services and the AI environment within Microsoft Azure. Building an AI application from scratch is not an easy task. There's a lot of coding that goes into it, and Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services has created a lot of that back-end need, the back-end coding and the back-end information that's needed around the APIs, the SDKs, and all those services to create core features around speech, language, vision, search, and knowledge mining understanding. And a lot of their advertising today has been focusing a lot on how the Azure services can use pictures to find snow leopards in the mountains, can identify speech and language to translate Japanese to English and reindeer to English, if you see the current holiday commercial that Microsoft has been running, to identify new flavors of beer. As we've looked over the last 6 months and look at what Microsoft has been advertising, it has been around their cognitive services. And their cognitive services are very easy to consume. They're very inexpensive to start off with. There's a free tier available in just about, if not every, one of the cognitive services that you can test. You can get it up on a website and launch and test how it interacts, how it interfaces before you move into a cost-based tier. So when we talk about the framework of a bot and what the service looks like, we want to talk about the bot development lifecycle, which is very important, especially if you're looking at going into the Azure Engineering Associate path. Understanding the way to design a bot and what that lifecycle looks like is very important. First and foremost, you have to plan your bot. What do you want this bot to do? We'll talk more about that. You build your bot, you test and train your bot, and then you publish it and connect it to your services. And then you have to, the last piece is very important, and that's continuous evaluation. Once you launch your bot, it is not a finished product necessarily. Even though cognitive services and artificial intelligence, we think of a build it, build it and forget it type aspect, but really it's only as good as you make it, and the continuous improvement of those cognitive services are very important. So the next thing we want to look at around the bot services is once you build that bot, there are SDKs and services that you can, once you create that bot, you can then publish it as a web service, and the ability to publish it to those web services, connect them to various channels. As you can see on the screen, there are numerous channels that are ready with their connections and with their interfaces and coding all set to go. All you need to do is create your bot and then connect it, log in, use your login credentials, and set up that bot for email, for Skype, for Facebook, Slack, Teams, and work those work bots into the framework of those interfaces. And as we were talking about design principles and planning, then is, okay, we know we want to build a bot for Microsoft Teams. What do we want that bot to do? What problem are we solving with that? How are we going to make this experience better, easier, faster, using a bot than any other experience that's already within those services? How do we run the device on multiple platforms? Does it need to be on Windows, Linux, Mac OS? Does it need to run on different browsers? Is our user environment going to use Edge browsers, any other browsers, i.e., Firefox, Chrome? Are they going to need to be coded and utilize those different services? And then does it have a discoverable manner to it? Is it very easily for a user to find how to use the bot? When they go to the web page, if they have a question, is there a little click on pane just to start the bot? Does the bot start automatically when you enter the website? Those type of things is very important. And as we talked previously, there are certain factors that do not guarantee success. It's not guaranteed that your bot is going to be smart. The bot is only as smart as the person that is engineering that bot, training that bot, and then continuously improving that bot. The depth of language support, you need to build multiple languages into that bot for it to support those languages. And is it voice enabled? Does it do they have the ability to utilize and have access to the microphone for the bot to be utilized? This slide goes through the development environment. I'm not going to go deep and wide into development of bots. We'll show when I go into the demo portion of this video what some of the portals look like, the interfaces, some of the easy testing tools that are within the portal. But keep in mind, and I'll make this slide presentation available, that there are multiple ways that you can test your bots and to interface your bots. It utilizes multiple languages such as C+ or .NET. You can use JavaScript. You can use Node.js if that's where you're comfortable developing those in Visual Studio. Just multiple ways that you can develop and create your bot. Q&A Maker is going to be the bot that we're going to talk most about in this video and show the demo on, just because it's very simple to set up, as well as you can create a knowledge base very quickly and easily around that links into the Q&A Maker bot, and we'll show that. But understand that when you're creating a Q&A Maker bot, the knowledge base on the back end, which is a different portal entirely outside of the Azure portal, that you create that knowledge base and it is utilized then for how that bot interacts. And some key things around that knowledge base is it's important to build into that knowledge base then the different ways something might be worded to that bot, some keywords potentially not necessarily full phrases, but keywords it's going to look at as what the request response is going to look like. So you can see here on the screen, and I'll show some holiday examples as we go through, but you can see, you know, good night, nighty night, night, have a good night to you, and then creates that response of nighty night to the user. And then once you've created that knowledge base, as I said before, you can then connect to that Q&A service right out of that knowledge base database, website. It connects right into the Azure portal then, and your bot's ready to test in the portal. The next piece that we're going to talk about is the language understanding, or LUI as known for short, which is a cloud-based custom machine learning intelligence service that helps with the conversational natural text and predicts what the meaning of that text is, and then pulls out the relative information out of that. And it's three key components around that. There's intents, utterances, and entities. And as you can see, the definitions of those are on the screen. You know, the intent is what action is going to be performed. As you saw when I turned on the Christmas lights, the intent of my language understanding would be, I want to turn on my lights. Well, the utterance that I had was, I gave the wake word and then said, turn on the Christmas lights. I could have said Christmas lights on, I could have said on Christmas lights, I could have said it in different ways, and those are the different utterances. But it's looking for specific entities within that phrase, such as on and Christmas lights, to fulfill that task, and that's what it did. So some of the benefits around that is the natural language piece. But it is very important that, again, the builder, it's only as good, and that natural language is only as good as the initial design is for those utterances and entities in creating that. The language understanding does continue to learn and continue to say, okay, when somebody says Christmas tree on, or says, tree on, or things like that, that it's going to learn, and it's going to, its understanding of that language and of those utterances, it might add, might create and bring in new utterances as we go along. And then, and that's where that language understanding really becomes important to your bot. And tying this service into your bot takes some of that manual continuous training out of there. There's still some continuous training that needs to go into play, but you can increase the language score and the understanding score as you go through utilizing language understanding. So here's some best practices around language understanding. It's very important. You build your language model, obviously, and then you add training examples, those utterances, and it's important to think about, you build your intents, say, you have one that's lights on, one that's lights off. For each one of those intents, you should have 10 to 15 utterances right off the bat. That'll help build that model and train that model, and then help to continuously for that model to learn. Then you publish that model, you test that model, obviously, and then continuous testing, and then add features as necessary as you test. Do you want more than on and off? Do you need, is your light switch on a dimmer switch? You think of the smart lights that are out there now. Do you need to dim the lights? Do you need to make the lights brighter? So that's more than on and off, so there's more intents to that light switch than just on and off. Again, there's connectors within the LUI service to enable intelligent desktop. Think of Cortana, for example. Cortana is a prime example of that speech-enabled intelligent desktop. It ties to, it can tie to the web. It ties to, you know, you can tie it to Outlook and Office 365 and Twitter and LinkedIn and all of those things that if you want them to connect to it. We'll hit a little bit on language detection, nothing huge here, but that's another piece. Think language understanding is not language detection. You can build some different languages into the utterances to understand different languages if you need to support multiple languages, or you can also utilize a language detection API, which this URL here will actually take you to show you what the API testing tool looks like, and you can test your API, test and add languages to that API within this testing tool, and change your code and things like that, and test to and create that text analytics for up to 120 languages. So you need to identify that. You can again tie that into your bot and continuously then handle multiple languages across the world as well. We're going to now go into the demo portion of this video where I will show some of the cognitive services as well as a quick build out of what I've done in terms of a Q&A bot as we discussed during the slide presentation. You can see here I am in my resource group where I've created a number of cognitive services. And in here I do have a Q&A bot right here. You can see in the type of services what they are. So we go into the Q&A bot. Okay, so we've now stepped into the Q&A chatbot, and you can see within here in the overview page you have your particular steps in planning, building, testing, publishing, and connecting those the bot to the various services. You can see here your endpoint for your for the bot, and one of the key things around the bot, as we spoke about in the presentation, was around building the backend knowledge base. So here under QAMaker.ai, you can go in, you log in with the same credentials as you use for the Azure portal. You find it for your subscriptions. You tie your subscriptions to your subscription to the bot or to the knowledge base. And as you can see, I've created a Christmas knowledge base within the within this UI. And as it loads here, we will show you where you can now edit your knowledge base. And you can see here I've created multiple contexts here in terms of what I'm trying to find out in terms of emailing Santa, different ways and phrasing for emailing Santa, where is Santa, and what I've done on the back end here is then the bot will then point you to different services, as well as what I've done around this bot. And when you set up your bot, you set up how that bot can potentially do chat with your user. And I've created this bot as a witty chit chat bot. So you can see that when you go in and it says hello, and you can see it's got multiple Q&A already built into the knowledge base. Then when you put those pairs in there's 91 Q&A pairs, but really only 2 of these were ones that I created. The other were from this witty chit chat text source code into there. So what you would do is you can then test your Q&A and save and train your Q&A. Once you've created your knowledge base, then it's going to ask you then to publish it, and it will ask you to publish and pull from your subscription any Q&A bots that you have in there. So since I've already done that, we can just go right into the chatbot. And the nice thing here is, without having to connect to any channels, which is right here, you can go in right to test a web chat, and you can test your bot right from in here. So it says hello and welcome. I can tell it, hey, what's up? And it says, yeah, same old, same old. So since I've made it witty chit chat, it kind of gets a little, it's not using proper grammar. It's acting like you're talking to a friend on your chat or on Teams, and putting that in there. But here's the key things that I've put in here around the specifics around finding Santa. So if I go just find Santa, it actually comes back. I've built in the URL for the NORAD Santa tracker, so you can go right from there and click on that link. The user can click on that link and find Santa. So if you're building a search engine or something around the Christmas spirit or something of that nature, you can then build in certain things where they can go right into a chat, find NORAD Santa, explore the North Pole at that point. What if I want to send Santa my Christmas wish list? Well, how about if I were to email Santa? Say email Santa. Okay, well, look, it brings up emailsanta.com. You can go right to that, and there you go. You can create your, let them know, if your son is on the son or daughter on the naughty or nice list. It's got the Christmas countdown. You can create your live letter to Santa from there. And like I said, I've put different ways of asking. Find Santa is one of them. What about, where's Santa? Again, returns back the same URL. So this is how the Q&A bot works in conjunction with your Q&A maker knowledge base, and then you can just continue to build from there. Like I said, once you've tested it and you've built your code and you've gone through all the tests, you can then you can do it, put it on a web chat and build it into your own website. Or again, you can configure a Cortana channel, a direct line channel, Teams, and then there's ultimately more channels as we listed in the slide presentation before. As we look at language understanding, here is where you would go into the Luis.ai. Again, sign in with your Azure credentials. Then you can create your apps within there for your language understanding and for your Luis. So here you can see have a dashboard here with my hits. You can go to build. Here again, I have created some intents, such as, okay, my intent is to contact Santa. So within those intents, I have what is the utterances of what is Santa's email, what does Santa have, does Santa have an email address, what is Santa's email information. So we've created that entity of Santa's email, and then we have trained it through those intents. We've trained it through those intents that if you see Santa's email in a question, in a bot question, then it is going to assign the email address or that URL to that. Again, I have here find Santa. Again, Santa's NORAD, Santa's location. Where is Santa? I've put in some different languages. Where is Pierre Noel? And it will then point to the noradsanta.org site. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is, as we go through and we look at the text analytics and the cognitive services, I can then go and test these APIs. So you would go in to test your text analytics, go in and get your API key. You need to make sure that you have the proper location. Here I am in the central US. I copy my key here. And then I can send, I've got the different ways of saying hello world here. And it gives a response okay, and it recognizes that 1 was English, 2 was French, 3 was Spanish, and then there was a 4th on there of just some emoticons that also are being recognized as English in this case. You can then also take this code and use this same code and add additional IDs and additional languages within here for whatever you're trying to say, so that it recognizes those languages for that particular phrase. So that ends the demo portion. We'll move back into the slides and give you some resource information, as well as wrapping up this video. Just some resources that are available. Again, the Azure Advent Calendar website, where there are links to all of the accompanying blogs and videos for the Azure Advent Calendar project, which will continue to be there, I'm sure, after the holidays, as well as the YouTube channel. Click and subscribe. We're loving the data that's coming out around how many subscribers are online. Any blog or website by any of the contributors in this project. I follow just about all of them on my Twitter page, and they help me every day. They provide me with a new piece of knowledge that just makes me understand Azure better, understand even Office 365 and Teams, and just different areas of knowledge. The people that are involved in the Azure Advent Calendar are all great and helpful people, and that's why the Azure family is so great. My blog site, captainhyperscaler.com, you'll be able to find this blog as well as other blogs. Feel free to subscribe to it. Follow me on Twitter or on LinkedIn. And then the last link here, Microsoft Learn. Many of you may know that Microsoft completely revamped Microsoft Learn a couple months ago, and brought all of their certification pieces, their exams and certifications into Microsoft Learn, and tied many of those certification paths to a learning path within Microsoft Learn, a free learning path as well, where you can go through learning path modules and learn services. This is free. It's mostly reading, and there's some videos embedded as well. And there's check your knowledge checkpoints within there. And I've put the link to the AI 100 exam, which is the AI Engineer Associate exam, right in this presentation. And you can go use this link to go there, learn more about the AI services and the exam criteria and objectives in that, as well as you can go to other exams and right from this as well, find other exams that you might be interested in, other learning paths. You don't necessarily have to be going towards an exam to take a learning path. So just a great resource, great free resource. If you're don't have an organization that's going to pay for you to be trained, or don't have the resources available to you, this is great stuff to look at and to evaluate as you continue to learn your craft and to learn Microsoft Azure and cloud technologies at a higher level. And finally, I just want to thank again Gregor and Richard. Their Twitter handle is right here on this page. I recommend that you follow them. They, even outside of the Azure Advent Calendar project, they are always providing great content. They are always liking and retweeting great content from other people, other users, and other bloggers that are a part of this project, as well as may not be part of this project, but are also great parts of the Azure family. So thank you for creating this project. It's been great to be a part of it and great to bring together the Azure community worldwide.